Today we're making Nashville chicken sliders, and you got that crispy, juicy chicken with that fiery, iconic oil, a little bit of coleslaw to tone it down. It's a southern classic, and I'm going to show you how easy it is to make it at home.
For the ingredients, I've split them into 4 sections to make it a little bit easier. We have the chicken and its seasoning and marinade, the spices and the oil that the chicken will be coated with, a fresh coleslaw mix that comes together really easily, and finally the buns and the pickles, which you don't have to use if you don't like them. We'll start with 6 boneless and skinless chicken thighs, about 1 kilo or 2.2 pounds. Trim away any large pieces of fat or uneven edges. This is going to help them cook evenly and keep the slider size consistent. Then cut each thigh in half so they fit perfectly in the buns. In a large mixing bowl, add 250 milliliters or 1 cup of buttermilk and 1 tablespoon of any hot sauce of your choice. The acidity in the buttermilk tenderizes the chicken, while the hot sauce adds flavor without being overpowering. And you can add a bit of salt as well as some ground white or cracked black pepper. Once that's all in the bowl, mix it really well, getting in all of the little nooks and crannies, cover it and then refrigerate for at least an hour or ideally overnight for maximum flavor and tenderness, but if you really can't wait, you can use it straight away. Now for the coleslaw, you can use a mix of white and red cabbage. I'm saving a little bit of money because these are about $4 each at the moment, so I'm just going to use the white cabbage, and we need about 2 cups or roughly 200 grams of this. All I'm doing is separating the leaves. It makes it a lot easier to work with, and then going through and shredding this up. To shred this up, you can use a mandolin as well. Just use whatever you're most comfortable using. Along with the cabbage, we need 1 large carrot. Grate this on the larger side of a box grater, and there's no need to peel it. If you don't want to grate it, you can slice it into thin strips, stack those strips up, and then julienne the carrot, which is also known as the matchstick cut. But for this one, I prefer the grated carrot. I find you get more flavor out of it. Now in a separate bowl, combine 2 tablespoons or 40 grams of plain mayonnaise, 2 tablespoons or 40 grams of Greek yogurt, 1 tablespoon or 20 milliliters of apple cider vinegar, and about half a teaspoon of sugar, about 2 to 3 grams. Season to taste with a little bit of salt and ground white or cracked black pepper, and then mix this together until it's nice and smooth and creamy, and this is the base to our coleslaw. Now only add the sauce onto the coleslaw when you're ready to serve. Don't make this ahead of time as it will go soggy. But once you are ready, add it onto the carrots and the cabbage, and then start mixing it all together and make sure everything is thoroughly coated. It is a good idea just to check it again for seasoning and adjust if necessary. And if you like a little bit more acidity, you can add a touch more apple cider vinegar or freshen it up with a little bit of lemon juice. Like I said in the intro, pickles are optional, but they are traditional with this recipe. I'm just using 1 dill pickle here and slicing it in half to make it easier to work with, and then slicing it into strips. Traditionally, again, it is sliced into rounds using a crinkle cut knife, so you get those nice little pieces, but I don't have one of those, so we're just going with those thin slices. As far as the buns go, you can use whichever you like. I'm using brioche slider buns here, and if you live in Australia or anywhere that has an Aldi, I got them from there, and this isn't sponsored, they just are really good buns. And obviously you need the amount for how much chicken you're going to use. Once I have them sliced, I am placing them onto a lined baking tray, and I'm going to be putting these under the grill just to lightly toast them right before serving. You can also do it in a pan or leave them fresh, that is entirely up to you. Now moving on, in a shallow dish, add 200 grams or 1.5 cups of plain all-purpose flour and 60 grams or half a cup of corn flour, also called cornstarch. To season, add 2 teaspoons of paprika, 2 teaspoons of onion powder, 2 teaspoons of garlic powder, 1 teaspoon of cayenne pepper, 1 teaspoon of salt or just a pinch of salt, and half a teaspoon of cracked black pepper or ground white pepper. The reason we add corn flour is because it lowers the gluten content, which gives us a lighter, crispier crust, and we want to mix this all together until thoroughly combined. Now right before you're ready to cook, place a large pan or pot over a high heat and fill it with enough neutral flavored oil to fill it by half, and we want to heat this up to 170 degrees Celsius or 340 degrees Fahrenheit. When you have the green light and you're ready to cook, take the chicken from the marinade, letting the excess drip off, and coat each piece thoroughly in the seasoned flour. Dip it back into the buttermilk and then once more into the flour again. This double dredge locks in the moisture and creates layers, so as it fries, the steam puffs up the coating into that signature crunch. Once that's done, just remove any excess flour and rest the coated chicken on a wire rack for about 5 to 10 minutes, and this sets the crust so that it doesn't fall off during frying. When the oil's at temp, fry the chicken in batches for about 5 to 6 minutes and always place away from yourself, so if any oil does decide to splash up, it's going to splash away from you and not towards you. We want to turn these over at least once just to get even color on both sides, and we want them to be golden brown and cooked through. You can always check them with a thermometer as well. The thickest part should read 75 degrees Celsius or 165 degrees Fahrenheit. Once they're done, transfer them to a clean wire rack so that the excess oil can drain away from the coating and make it stay crisp, and then just repeat with any remaining batches, and try your best to not overcrowd the pan because you'll drop the oil temp too much and then the chicken won't become crispy. Now for the oil, we want to let it cool down slightly so that we can scoop out about half a cup or 125 milliliters and put this into a heat-proof bowl through a sieve so we get out any of those chunks. And to this, we're going to add in 1 tablespoon of cayenne pepper, 2 teaspoons of smoked paprika, 1 teaspoon of onion powder, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1 teaspoon of brown sugar, and half a teaspoon of chili powder if you want it a little bit more hot. Add in a touch of salt and then whisk this all together until it forms a smooth, fiery red sauce. Traditionally this is loaded with chili or cayenne, but I have balanced it so that it is spicy without being too overwhelming. Generously brush or spoon the hot oil over each piece of chicken while it's still warm. This is what gives Nashville chicken its signature color and deep smoky heat, and we want to do this on both sides. If you don't have a pastry brush, you can just dip the chicken into the oil. That choice is all yours. Also at this point, I do recommend toasting your slider buns, getting them ready to serve. Okay, so this recipe does make 12 sliders. I am only going to show 6 because I don't want to waste food and I am going to eat this for my dinner. As far as sauce goes, I'm using about 2 tablespoons of plain mayonnaise and a teaspoon of smoked paprika, just mixed together. You can use any sauce of your choice, and we're going to place them on both top and bottom of those sliders. If you're using the pickles, we can place these down on the bottom, that way nothing will fall off when we put the chicken on next. On we go with the Nashville chicken. Cutting those chicken thighs in half at the beginning just makes them fit perfectly. If you are using regular sized buns, you can just have the whole piece of thigh. It will fit perfectly for a normal sized bun. And once the chicken's on, we can go over the top with that coleslaw. Like I said, this recipe does make 12, so if anyone sees that there is coleslaw left over right now, I have got 6 more to make, so that does make sense. Gently place on the top buns. You can use the sauce that you've added to act as a glue. And what we've just created is these beautiful looking Nashville chicken sliders. And by the way, these smell absolutely incredible and they're not overly spicy either.
Now there is only one thing left to do, and that is we can then dig in. The chicken's crispy and juicy. You got that really nice fiery sauce on the top. It's not too overpowering though. I have actually toned it down from what traditionally is used because it's a lot more spicier than this. Coleslaw just mellows that out and it has a really nice little sweetness to it as well. Absolutely incredible. Definitely do try it, and thanks for watching.